dangerous heat across the Bay Area as some spots climb into triple digits for the first time this year.
There's just no moisture left in this fuel that's sitting on the ground. So it's just ready to burn.
How firefighters are trying to stay ahead of potential hotspots and when the heat will end, plus a school community in mourning on what should be a day of celebration.
He was just so joyful. He always made me happy every time I see him.
Students past and present remembering a beloved teacher who was hit and killed by a driver fleeing from police. And a potential solution to the housing crunch literally descending out of the sky.
Very exciting. It looks bigger in person.
We'll introduce you to a homeowner whose new ADU was lifted into his backyard, already put together. And later, big crowds lining up for a piece of rock and roll history, or at least a piece of kitchenware.
I'm not a big spender, so I got a colander.
We'll take you inside Tom Petty's California estate sale.
This is CBS News Bay Area with Juliette Goodrich.
Hello, I'm Sarah Donchie. Juliet has the night off tonight. It might feel hot in your neighborhood, but relief is coming from what was easily the hottest day of the year in a lot of the Bay Area. The dangerous heat is also bringing concern about air quality. Today was the first Spare the Air day this year. We want to get right to First Alert meteorologist Darren Peck, who's tracking all of these hot temperatures for us. I mean, we felt it. Obviously, if you were inland, you really felt it. But even along the coast, it was very warm.
Yes, this is one of those heat waves. We got it in the mid-70s in the city today.
It was nice.
It's nice, but it's like 15 degrees above average for this time of year. If you're 75 in the city, you are really hot inland. Take a look at the virtual map. That shows you what the state looked like as a whole. Those areas of smoky white on there is how we've been showing you what 105 looks like on the map. Thankfully, we don't have that here. But if we take a look at what a very telling sign is for the daytime highs today, this is what we did. Temperatures were barely in the 60s at the coast. There's your mid-70s in San Francisco. Now we walk that back here and we get out to Antioch where we did get to 101 today. So here's what's going to happen. The first thing I want you to see is how everybody else did. So if you're wondering what your part of the Bay felt like today, let's just get a wide view on that. This is the general for today. What happens tomorrow? It's going to get a little bit cooler here near the water. And it could get a little hotter as you go inland. Watch what happens if we transition this. You're going to see a very subtle change in the color contour. You see it? Wasn't much there, but it did change. I switched it to Saturday. And when we look at Saturday's numbers, San Francisco, doubtful you'll get into the 70s tomorrow. Probably be in the upper 60s. That's still like 10 to 12 degrees above average. But what we want to see is some improvement back here. Concord, instead of doing 100, maybe it's low 90s. Santa Rosa, you might do low 90s tomorrow. And if we can get San Jose in there before we go back to Sarah, just to give you an idea on what the South Bay will be doing tomorrow. We'll get a little help, but not enough. Sunday is the day. I'm going to show you what Sunday looks like. Totally different in a very good way. For now, Sarah, back to you.
All right. I think a lot of people ready to cool off. Our chopper was over Livermore today. The Tri-Valley flirted with triple digits, as you just saw. You can also see just how brown the water has gotten, or the brush there has gotten pretty much totally dried out. So obviously fire risk is a concern when you see conditions like this. Our Kevin Coe joins us live right now from Pleasanton. So Kevin, inland spots might get a little relief tomorrow, but not that much. And I think they're probably not too happy about that.
Yeah, you know, technically speaking, the heat advisory here in Pleasanton, it does end at 8 p.m., so a couple hours left to go. But as you mentioned, it's back tomorrow at 11 a.m. for another 9-hour stretch. So until the sun goes down tonight here in Pleasanton, well, let me give you a live look right behind me. The shade is one of the most valuable commodities across town. And I do have to mention, everyone here, they're still adjusting. Samuel Estrada has 3 best friends he takes care of.
Go play.
Estrada and his dogs come to Cubby's Dog Park in Pleasanton almost daily. They're not used to having this much space.
You see, there's not very many people here is because of the heat.
Estrada got his dogs out early before the heat advisory kicked in across Pleasanton and the interior Bay Area. He says he's noticed how much drier it's gotten at the park.
It was lush green one day, and then I showed up the next day. It just seemed to be golden brown.
The hot and dry conditions have the Livermore Pleasanton Fire Department on heightened alert all weekend.
You can actually just break this fuel and you can hear it crunch. There's just no moisture left in this fuel that's sitting on the ground. So it's just ready to burn.
But for many residents, their main concern is finding a place to cool off.
The Pleasanton Library is a designated cooling site for the city, but those who arrived found it was closed for scheduled maintenance and staff development.
I know they closed early on Fridays. I didn't know they were closed all day today. Drive around and find some shade. That's all you do.
As Jeff took off for another place to stay cool, others like John, a mail carrier,
it's all about being prepared, man.
had no choice but to face the elements head on.
I look like a hot mess right now, all wet, but it's because I got my ice water dripping down the front of me.
Pleasanton may be used to the heat, but even those who live here, like Samuel, say the first heat wave of the year takes some getting used to.
It's pretty hot. I mean, with the weather changing from raining to cold to hot, I think in the last 2 weeks it's been kind of hectic.
You know, what he described there, Sarah, is exactly what health officials are worried about. Most bodies need time to adjust to sudden temperature changes. So with this extreme heat, it brings an even greater risk of dehydration, heat exhaustion, and really every heat-borne illness across the board.
Yeah, all the more reason why I was surprised to see the last gentleman in the long sleeve shirt or jacket. I was wondering what was happening there. Kevin, you were prepared.
You got a lot of that
it.
in Pleasanton, actually.
That, yeah, they might be used to it.
You got a lot of it.
Yeah, all right, Kevin, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Stay with us for continuing First Alert weather coverage. For the updated forecast anytime, head to kpix.com, or you can download the free CBS News app. Right now, people are gathering to remember a beloved teacher at Oakland's Castlemont High School. Dr. Marvin Boomer was hit and killed Wednesday by a suspect who'd been chased by CHP officers just minutes before. His death came just a couple of days before his students got their diplomas at graduation today. Our Da Lin is at the crash site, and Da, I'm sure this was really a hard day. It should have been happy, it should have been celebratory, but I'm sure there were a lot of mixed feelings today.
Yeah, mixed feelings indeed. Very difficult for a lot of the students. We're at the crash site right now. In fact, there's a vigil here to remember Dr. Marvin Boomer, about 40 to 50, perhaps even more people, because more of them are showing up. It just got started. A lot of friends, coworkers, even strangers, neighbors who live in this area, dropping off flowers and candles to remember the man. And earlier at the graduation for Castlemont High School, a lot of students credited Dr. Marvin Boomer for helping them to prepare for college. An exciting accomplishment for these Castlemont High graduates, yet hard for many to smile, knowing the teacher who helped them reach this milestone isn't here.
He was a very good advocate for me going to college and finishing.
Elijah Washington and his peers reflected on the role Dr. Marvin Boomer played in their lives.
It taught me that anything is possible. You know, you just got to have the focus, have the drive, and really want to do that.
He's someone that you could always look up to. He was always there when you needed him.
Inspiring. He's inspirational. He's just very bubbly. Like I said, he was very nice.
Elijah returned to Castlemont High from Oregon State University to graduate with his class. He started college early in January after earning a full scholarship to play football at Oregon State. He credits Dr. Boomer, his longtime mentor and math teacher, for instilling qualities he uses both on the field and in the classroom.
Just to always finish. You know, no matter what you do it at 100% and you finish strong with everything that you do. Dr.
Boomer died after a speeding car trying to elude CHP crashed into him and his partner while they were out for a walk on Wednesday evening. It happened at the corner of 12th Avenue and East 21st Street. His partner survived the crash. Students say she's also a teacher at Castlemont.
Mr. Boomer was just a great person, like personality and everything. He was just so joyful.
UC Merced student Michaela Davis graduated from Castlemont 2 years ago. She says Dr. Boomer always provided guidance, support, and resources so she and her peers could succeed in school.
I want people to remember him as Dr. Boomer, the person that always uplifted everyone, the person that wanted better for all his students.
Students say with his qualifications, Dr. Boomer could have worked at any school, but he chose to stay in one of Oakland's most impoverished areas, working as a Castlemont teacher and college and career pathways coach for the last 8 years. Students like Elijah say they'll always remember him.
To hear that happened, especially the day before our graduation, was very tragic and heartbreaking. But I know he's watching and I know he's proud. We love him and, you know, we just keep pushing forward.
A lot of sad faces here at this vigil. We understand some of his co-workers are here. Some students are even here as well, trying to remember Dr. Marvin Boomer. Now, Oakland Unified released a statement earlier today saying that he was more than a teacher. He was a friend, he was a source of strength, and he was an inspiration to a lot of students at Castlemont High. Media reports say Dr. Boomer was 39 years old. Live here in Oakland, I'll send it back to you, Sarah.
Oh, that is just so young, Da. Thank you so much for sharing those stories. Just hard one to tell. Today, the driver who allegedly hit and killed Boomer, Eric Hernandez Garcia, appeared in court. He is facing a number of charges, including vehicular manslaughter. Oakland Public Schools have a new interim superintendent. The district announced today that former Chabot Elementary School principal Denise Sadler will replace the outgoing superintendent, Dr. Kyla Johnson-Trammell, while the district searches for her permanent replacement. The school board ousted Johnson-Trammell during a closed-door meeting in April without giving a reason. The district says the exact terms of Sadler's contract are still being worked out. Right now, a very complicated cleanup is happening in a Daly City neighborhood because a cement truck crashed into two houses there. 18 people at least have been displaced. This is a live look at the damage left behind on Shipley Avenue. This is near Serramonte. The truck has been pulled out of the homes and crews are getting ready to tow that away. We're told the truck was parked on top of the hill with no one inside when it suddenly rolled down and did all of the damage that you are seeing here right now, with firefighters still on scene. The truck looks like it hit a car first, parked, breaking the front bumper off before crashing into the two homes. This was the scene earlier when the truck was still inside. Luckily, no one was hurt. It took a while to remove it because it was the only thing holding the houses up at that point, which tells you just how bad the damage was. At least one of the homes has been red tagged because of structural damage. PG&E shut off utilities, of course. The road is expected to be closed for several hours. Still ahead here at 6, an entire living space dropped directly onto someone's backyard. How some homeowners are hoping to fast-track the process of adding an ADU.
This customer signed with us just before the new year, and they're going to be in this home, in less than 6 months.
Plus, San Francisco's new mayor unveils his first budget, and it calls for layoffs. Why union leaders say there are better ways to do this. San Francisco Mayor Daniel Lurie says he is ready to make some painful decisions to tackle the city's budget crisis. Today, he laid out his plan to close a nearly $800 million deficit over the next 2 years, and it includes slashing hundreds of jobs.
It's a painful time, and I understand any job loss is difficult. I take no joy in this, and yet I was elected to make hard choices, and that is demonstrated in today's budget.
So the mayor's $16 million budget calls for cutting about 1,400 jobs. Now, most of them are vacant, but about 100 positions are filled, some by temporary employees or people who are about to retire. City unions slammed these cuts, and they're accusing the mayor of prioritizing tax breaks for tech companies over public services.
When you cut jobs, you really are cutting public services. Those are things that residents and visitors all depend on.
The Board of Supervisors has to approve the budget in time for Lurie to sign it by August 1st. It was a sight to see in the South Bay today as an affordable housing solution was dropped onto a family's backyard. The whole neighborhood came out to see the accessory dwelling unit, or ADU, lifted by a crane and then installed right into a yard. Arlen Ramirez spoke to the homeowner, who calls the new space a game changer.
The sleek, modern ADU arrived on the back of a semi-truck, ready to be lifted by crane and installed in the backyard of a Campbell home, all in just one day.
Samara just checked a lot of boxes, so...
That's Owen, the homeowner, who says it's going to be a game changer for his extended family.
Mainly for my parents or in-laws. They like to come visit and stay with us for a couple months every once in a while, to spend more time with their grandkids. And so we thought having this dedicated space that's detached from the main house would really make everyone feel more comfortable.
ADUs, or accessory dwelling units, are small but versatile, usually ranging from 400 to 1,200 square feet. They're used as in-law suites, rentals, home offices, even housing for adult children. Samara, the Redwood City company that manufactured this home, says it's part of a broader strategy to address housing shortages without drastically changing a neighborhood's character. And with new zoning laws in cities like Campbell, the process of getting permits has become easier and faster.
Campbell has a great program called the ADU Express Plan Check, and we were able to get a permit submitted and issued in 7 days. So this customer signed with us just before the new year, and they're going to be in this home, in less than 6 months here in June.
Once the house was secured to the crane, it was gently hoisted into the air and lifted about 50 feet over Owen's main home. Neighbors gathered around to watch, and after only about 8 minutes, crews guided the unit onto its pre-made foundation.
Very exciting. It looks bigger in person. I think one of the neighbors says that's one of the most exciting things that's happened on the street.
Owen says the total cost of this one-bedroom, one-bath home was about $300,000, including the cost of the unit about $170,000, plus transportation and installation. A deck will be added to the front porch area, and there will still be plenty of space left in the yard. Experts say ADUs are here to stay.
You show up, there's a foundation, and at the end of the day, home drops out of the sky, and there's your home.
It's a flexible, more affordable alternative in a tough housing market, and for families like Owen's, it's not just a structure, it's a solution.
A lot of cities offer online resources now for homeowners interested in building an ADU, and some, like Berkeley, are even offering amnesty to homeowners who built one on their property illegally. Coming up, more than half a decade since a horrific tragedy, the Gilroy Garlic Festival returns, but tickets will be limited. We'll let you know how you can get yours. The Gilroy Garlic Festival is back with tickets going on sale this weekend. Previous years saw visitors total more than 100,000 people a day. Now, this year's event will be significantly smaller. Only 3,000 slots a day will be available through the 3-day exhibition. This year's festival is the first in 6 years following a devastating mass shooting in 2019. All right, back to our first alert weather. Here are some people who know how to make the most of a hot day. We saw some people out on San Jose's Calera Reservoir riding jet skis and water skiing across the lake. These are the friends that you want to have, people who have these things and you don't have to pay for them or maintain them yourself.
Right, and know how to operate them correctly.
I've never been on a jet ski.
Oh, they're fun.
In my whole life.
You strike me as someone who would have done that already.
I mean, I'm scared of everything, but I just never had the opportunity to do it. But I am scared of doing that.
The email's already flooding in to KPIX with offers, I'm sure, to take Sarah out on a sea-doo. Let me show you what the temperatures have looked like. We're going to start with tomorrow. Top of the newscast, I walked you through the intense heat of today. So I want to look ahead. What we're going to do is take a look at Saturday, and there is very little difference. These are the daytime highs. Let's just do one so we don't darken up the circles too much. This is where you'll be on Saturday. I mentioned this earlier. It'll be a little cooler here near the coast. San Francisco is 75 today, should do 69 tomorrow. Anybody right on the water or near the Golden Gate in the Bay gets maybe a 4 or 5 degree cool down tomorrow. That is not a lot, but it is enough, I think you'll notice. However, if you're inland, keep in mind, Saturday is going to be just like the Friday you lived through, including down here. I think San Jose might get a break of a few degrees, but it's not really going to be a whole lot. So with that in mind, one thing we want to do is put the perspective on this that the National Weather Service wants to make sure everybody's aware of, that heat risk map. If you're shaded in orange for tomorrow, you've got a moderate degree of heat-related health impacts from this, and that's most of our inland locations. Let's come into the Bay. What do you do with information like that if you've got a moderate risk of heat-related health impacts? Just know with those temperatures and this visual on here, look at all the orange, tomorrow, just pay real close attention. It's a Saturday. You've got to be outside, or if you just are insistent, you've got to do whatever your plan is for the first half of the weekend. If you get even slightly lightheaded tomorrow, take that seriously to start finding the shade, air conditioning, drink some water. It is these first spikes in heat that get people more than the real intense ones in August. We haven't acclimated to this yet, came on really fast, and we tend to take these maybe not as serious as the ones that are flashing hundreds and fives. These are the ones that get the most people from health-related impacts. So just pay real close attention, make sure you're hydrating, and all the rest of the things that go along with that. Let's put some good news on this. We're going to go back to the map now. I want you to see where the numbers are going to be by Sunday. We're going to transition from Saturday into the Sunday numbers. There's a whole lot more yellow on here. We're going to put the Sunday numbers on. This is the day for your weekend. Start making plans to take advantage of this. The temperatures are going to be in the 70s inland. It's a 15-degree drop, and it gets you back to average. So as fast as we warmed up today, and we're going to stay there tomorrow, we're going to cool down just as fast on Sunday. It's going to be a dramatic change. We're getting a little bit of help from this too. So there's an interesting setup happening in the atmosphere overhead, which I just want to give you a little background into, because not only do we get to cool down on Sunday from this, but on Monday, you might see some interesting looking clouds in the sky. There's a bunch going on the satellite you'd never see. Probably notice this out here. That is a trough. There's cool air out there. That will help, but not as much as this. You don't see much there on the regular satellite, but when we put this into the water vapor, now you're going to see it. A little tightly wound counterclockwise area of low pressure off the coast. That thing is going to start moving northward, and it's going to start breaking down the ridge overhead. Watch what happens Sunday into Monday. Seemingly out of nowhere, rain shows up. Sunday into Monday. That's what's going to help break down this ridge. There's one other way we can actually see this. If we go back to that wide view, and what we want to take a look at on that is to show you the long-range forecast. We've got to go pretty far south to find this, but let's get our vantage point down to the south and watch this patch of green that shows up out there. This is Saturday into Sunday. That is light rain. It's going to come up from Mexico, and by the time we get into Sunday afternoon and evening, some of those showers are going to try and show up over the Sierra. And on Monday, some of those showers might drift into the Central Valley. I don't have rain in the forecast here from that for us, but it's something to watch. We'll see the clouds increase a bit. Maybe we get kind of an interesting looking cloud show by the time we get to Monday. More importantly, that is very much part of the cool down that's going to break this heat wave. That little area of low pressure out there is going to drop those numbers for us. So there's the Sunday drop. And as you look through the rest of the 7-day forecast, a lot of 70s on there. Those are your inland numbers, by the way. That's a big improvement. And just to finish this story, let's get you caught up with the 7-day forecast for the Bay, where we see the same trend on there. And I'll show it to you right here. There you go. 7-day looks great. Those are the numbers for the Bay. All right, Sarah, back to you.
All right, Darren, thank you so much. When we come back, an estate sale that also served as a tour through history for fans of Tom Petty. And here's a look at what's ahead on the CBS Evening News. If you missed all the fun of last weekend's Carnival Parade, we have good news for you. We'll have an encore presentation tomorrow night from 8 to 10 on our sister station, Pix Plus. And we have more highlights on our website, kpix.com. It's worth looking into that, too. All right, check this out. A huge line of people along the Pacific Coast Highway in Malibu today. They were waiting to get inside rock and roll legend Tom Petty's former house for an estate sale that included everything except his music memorabilia. Fans could take home rugs, lamps, glassware, basically anything you could think of. But a lot of fans weren't there to buy. They were just there to see what Petty's life was like. Organizers even put out a statement saying snooping is welcome.
And what did you get? Well, I'm not a big spender, so I got a colander, big deal. But I can say I got this from Tom Petty's kitchen. That's pretty cool.
She will think of that every time she makes pasta. The 3-day sale lasts all the way through Sunday with 25 shoppers allowed in at a time. Petty passed away in 2017 from an accidental overdose. The CBS Evening News is next on KPIX. Local news continues on our streaming service, CBS News Bay Area. We're right back here in 30.